So, I'm in the car. So I apologize for the sound quality. I'm sure it's not great. I'm going to do my best to mitigate that. But, it's not easy, so. It's November. And November is very difficult for me. It's Rachel's birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas is around the corner, and it's just a tough month for me. It's tough until the end of Christmas and New Year's, and then I feel like things get easier for me. The holidays are really difficult without her around. I was just going over the timeline of the previous Thanksgivings coming up, with the holiday coming up and everything, and I have a lot to be grateful for this year, a lot to be thankful for. If I start back in 2017, 2016 maybe, I get the years mixed up. I think, because I'm trying to remember the past 3 Thanksgivings, so I would say 2016, if we start there, when this all began. I remember being in a hotel with Rachel because we had moved back from the Cape, and I didn't want to stay. I had a hard time knowing that we didn't have our own place, and I wish I didn't put up such a fight with that. But we were staying in a hotel. I was working at UMass, and she was working in Amherst. So we were staying at Howard Johnson's, and she was in a lot of pain. And this is when this began. And I remember the first time that we spent the night in the hospital. It was Thanksgiving, and I'm trying to remember. I think she was at St. Vincent's on Thanksgiving, and St. Vincent's. She was either at St. Vincent's or Belmont on Thanksgiving. I don't remember the very first one. We spent Thanksgiving in the hospital. She hadn't been diagnosed yet, but she was in a lot of pain, and we didn't know what it was. So, I remember I did try to make it to my sister's, and I ran to my sister's and had a little bit of food and brought some back to her, some pie and things like that. And I remember her father was there, and and we stayed in the hospital that night. And I'm thinking about this in real time. I haven't prepared what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to go back into and remember these things. And so that was 2016. We spent the Thanksgiving in the hospital. 2017 was our last Thanksgiving together, and it was one of the best Thanksgivings I've ever had. She had been getting treatment for almost a year at that point, and her cancer, as far as pain goes, her cancer was under control. I mean, her cancer never was fully under control, but she was able to come to Thanksgiving and enjoy Thanksgiving, and there was a calm. Her father came with us too, which was fantastic, because one of the reasons why the holidays have been tough is because my family spends Thanksgiving together, and it's the one holiday where we all get together and we go to my uncle's. And Rachel's was always, I always wanted her to come, of course, which she did several times, but she was always worried about what her father would be doing on Thanksgiving. And so we would it always ended up fine. It always ended up a nice day. We would go to Boston, and one time we hosted Thanksgiving, but we would go to Boston and stay, or Sudbury, and stay and go to my uncle's house, and then we would come back home to Western Mass, and we would go to her father's house for the night, and we'd eat something with him, and we'd always have some laughs and a couple of beers and everything. But it was great because her father joined us in Sudbury for Thanksgiving, and it was just, there was such a calm. Rachel was usually pretty, just like me, nervous about holidays and worrying about her family and being able to be everywhere and see her mom and her dad, and also come with me. It was always somewhat hectic, but it always ended up working out in the end. But the Thanksgiving in 2017, there was something. It was one of the best Thanksgivings I've ever been to. We were all together, and Rachel, there was a calm about Rachel that was just incredible for someone who was terminally ill. She wasn't drinking because of the cancer, and she was, she was just so graceful. I remember her looking so beautiful and so just striking. And meanwhile, she's sick with terminal cancer, and she was just so great that day. She enjoyed the day. She just was so serene, and yeah, it was just it was a damn good Thanksgiving for us. And and then that spring is when she passed away. You know, her birthday is November 27th, so that's another thing where Thanksgiving sometimes would land on her birthday, and it's just a hectic time. But yeah, it was pretty great. And yeah, so I remember that year we had a surprise birthday party for her. We threw this surprise birthday party at Mexicali Grill, and it was just great. And we had a good Thanksgiving, and yeah, she passed away the following spring. And then that Thanksgiving of 2018, which was last year, I spent Thanksgiving with my family in Florida in a hospital room, because my father was in the hospital. He had a triple bypass, and my father spent 3 months in the hospital. So it was tough. After she passed away, my father had already been in bad health. So my mom was focused on, it was just tough for all of us. My dad has to get dialysis, and his heart wasn't doing well, and he had a pacemaker put in, and then the bypass. Yeah, it was just hard. It was hard. I went from Rachel passing to really being very concerned about my father, especially when he was in the hospital for 3 months, and spending Thanksgiving in the hospital, and Christmas So, yeah, I think it really put the zap on my head after losing Rachel and being scared that my father wasn't going to make it. It really, I think I hit it just was like a breaking point for me. I had tried so hard to keep it together, and in the end there with Rachel, and the whole year and a half with her illness, and just trying to maintain my composure, and then having my father go through that, it was too much for me. And working and being out here and living on my own, it was really hard. It was really, really hard. So this year I do have a lot to be thankful for. My folks are traveling up here, and we're going to have Thanksgiving at my uncle's house, and my hobbies become a little side business for me. It's, knock on wood, I'm hoping this all works out. And I have a lot to be thankful for, having my family around, because you never know. So if you do have your family around, and all of us have people that are missing from holidays, I'm sure, but just be thankful for the ones that you do have around, because you never know. And it's still really hard for me being without her. And, I've been trying to do my best to move on, but because I'm so unhappy in my career and there's essentials that you need in order to grieve properly and to health in a healthy way. And one of the essentials is that it's very helpful if you lose somebody, if you lose your wife, you lose your partner, your best friend, and you have a career that's fulfilling and meaningful, then it's easier to grieve. I'm not saying that the loss is easier. There's no one has it any worse or better when it comes to loss, but it does help if you have your daily is meaningful, if you have a career and a job and you're not worrying about survival and your future. And I was worrying about all of that. I didn't work the entire year and a half. She was sick, so I was just, it's a recipe for madness, really. And that's what I've been dealing with. And, my hobby is becoming a little side business, but it's not enough to support me. And, it's just, what do? You have student loans and that you need to pay, and a mountain of debt, and you didn't major in the right thing, and your career, all I've done is work in kitchens. So it's really, it's the one thing I haven't focused on in my life that I wish I had. What am I going to do with my life? And now I'm at an age, it's so funny, like working in kitchens, and I developed a good work ethic, and I liked being there and working long hours, long days and everything. And now I'm at the point where I'm just so tired. I can't imagine, in a perfect world, if I were a nurse, and that would be fulfilling to me, going to work every day. But I also feel like my energy is so fucking low. I don't have much energy to fight anymore. And in order to get my life to where I want it, I need to fight. And I just don't have the energy for it. I'm 39 years old. I don't have the energy to go back to school. I really don't. I know it sounds like lazy or whiny or whatever, but man, when does it end? I feel like I've been fighting for my whole life to get clean, and then I went back to school and working full time, and then didn't major in the right thing, and it's just, I don't have the fucking energy anymore, man. I don't have the fucking energy. So I don't know, but I do have, that's not the point. I have a lot to be grateful for this year. I am going to stop this cast, and I'm going to upload part 2, because I'm at my destination. I'll be back. All right.